Welcome to 843 TV. I'm your host, Wayne Morris with WHHI-TV.
And I'm your host, Carrie Manning from the Village Spa. Today we're in beautiful Coligny Plaza, which if you've been to the island, everybody knows where that is. And speaking of that, brings us to our first guest, Mr. J.R. Richardson. He's the developer of Coligny Plaza.
Our second guest is Hannah Horn from the Hilton Head Island Bluffton Chamber of Commerce. She is the Director of Small Business and Public Policy.
And then our last guest is Miss Sarah Bergen. She's the Marketing Director for the Hilton Head Symphony Orchestra. So make sure that you come right back for more 843 TV,
where communities come to speak.
.843 TV, where Bluffton comes to speak.
Where Spring Island comes to speak.
Where Hilton Head Island comes to speak.
Where Port Royal comes to speak.
.843 TV,
where communities come to speak.
Welcome to 843 TV. We're here with J.R. Richardson. He is the owner of Coligny Plaza and a division of the Richardson Group. Thank you for being with us. How are you?
I'm great. I'm glad to be here. Thank you all for including me.
You're kind of an important part of Coligny. So you guys are celebrating 60 years in 2015, which is a pretty big mark. Tell everybody why your parents decided to build the Forest Beach supermarket.
Ooh, okay. I would say that 60 years is a long time. It's a whole lifetime, actually, and we've seen kind of a lot of things going on. But Dad was in the grocery business in Thomasville, Georgia, and he had 4 grocery stores, and he had 4 brothers, 3 of which died, and he wanted to be closer to his family, and his father lived at Chichassie over near Beaufort and Spring Island, and his youngest brother lived in Ridgeland, and his brother was in the construction business, and he had a beach house over on Hilton Head. And we came over here in 1954, 53 and 54 on vacations, family vacations. And Dad decided at that time he just going to move closer to his family. So he came up and he talked to Fred Hack about buying some land, and they built the little 100 by 100 square foot store. And he went into the grocery business there. First retail business on Hilton Head.
Well, that was my next question. Were there any other grocery stores?
No.
Because back that time there wasn't much of anything here, correct?
There were about 150 Native Islanders and about 5 white families that had come to Hilton Head.
Things have changed a little bit.
Running different things around. They have changed a lot. I mean, it was an interesting childhood. I mean, Charles Frazier was the impetus for it all to really get going, and he was the developer of Sea Pines, and his father and 4 other people bought Hilton Head, most of Hilton Head, for $1 million in 1949, and they timbered it. And when they finished timbering it, they divided the property up, and Charles ended up with General Frazier, his father, ended up with the south end of the island, which is from South Forest Beach all the way down to the tip of Sea Pines. And Charles had been going to law school. He wrote his thesis at Yale on development of property by covenants and restrictions rather than zoning. And as a result of that, he became really the father of modern development, because he's the one that said you had to environmentally develop instead of just bulldozing trees down. So you were to actually be, his rules were you don't cut a tree over 6 inches thick without somebody else taking a look at it. You blend in with nature, colors, and that sort of thing. And so why we enjoy what we live here today is because of him and all the people that he brought here to make it better.
Well,
It's a long answer to that.
That was a fascinating answer. I love seeing all of the new small businesses that are here in Coligny, but who are some of the long-standing tenants that have been with you through the years?
Well, you know, the grocery store, which y'all mentioned earlier, was my father's. Later on, Dad sold it to, this is a great story, he sold it to Lewis McKibben. And a lot of misconception about who started the first grocery store comes from Lewis McKibben buying it, because he started the arcade over on North Forest Beach, where kind of the stack of shacks are today, you know, where I'm talking about, on South Forest Beach. And there was a building there that was kind of a beach facility, and everybody would come here and they would go to the beach there and buy a hot dog and go down to the beach, get suntan lotion, that sort of thing. Later on, he opened up a little larger grocery operation in there, and Dad decided to get out of the grocery business over here, so he sold the grocery business to Lewis, and then Lewis sold it to Gene Martin, who worked for him, and now David Martin runs it. And so he's the longest existing, that is the longest existing tenant. The other one is Coligny Hardware, and it was just the basic place, the basic services. Dad built the first grocery store, the first hardware store, the first barbershop, the first pharmacy, the first laundromat, first beauty salon, did I say that? Hair place. First fast food, Fin and Feather, had fried seafood and fried chicken. It was really an interesting place. So it's been an interesting experience. Coligny is an eclectic place. It's why people love to come here because it's not like a mall in New Jersey or
It's definitely
anywhere.
not like a Walker Mall. I mean, it's a little bit of everything.
Right, it's a little bit, and it changes, and it's different. So that's why people love it.
To unveil.
Well, who are some of the people that have made it so successful over the last 60 years that you can think of?
Me, of course. No, I have a great crew, but my father was the one that had the vision, and I came to work here in 1975. And that's going way too back. So I've been running the shopping center since then, and it was much smaller then. We didn't own the whole block. I've been able to acquire the remaining part of the block and added on to that. But I have had various crew coming through, but the crew I have right now, Chris Young, Cheryl Jimenez, and Dana LaCasey are my biggest advocates and help me through my daily chores that I do. And then my wife Leslie is especially important, and then my sister Mary Catherine Toomer is involved in it in some way.
You have to have a good staff, that's for sure.
You do.
Well, thank you for visiting with us and sharing some of the history and how we got to where we are now. And we appreciate all you guys do for the community.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
We'll be back with more 843 TV.